On this edition of Campus Report, are Hispanics moving past Catholicism? One distinguished theologian weighs in.
And the secondhand consequences of a law aimed at thrift stores are keeping donations off the shelves. I'm Elisha Crow.
And I'm Katie Johnson. All these stories and more on Campus Reports.
Local coverage. Student perspectives. At the University of New Mexico. From the KNME studios, this is Campus Report.
A new law designed to protect consumers is making life hard for parents and thrift store owners. Chuck Davis has more.
The recently passed Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act was designed to protect children from harmful chemicals in clothing and toys. But it's also had unintended consequences for thrift stores and other resellers.
We're having to take anything with a metal zipper, metal buttons, from 12 and under off the floor.
Edith Lombardelli is the store manager of Thrift Town. In order to comply with the new law, she's had to remove 20% of her store's inventory. Still, compared to other resellers, she feels lucky.
If you're looking at a baby shop, it probably really affects them in a serious way. For us, it hasn't affected us too bad.
Other Mothers deals almost exclusively in used clothing for children, and according to store manager Allie Parks, the new law has had a big impact on business.
It essentially crushed us for approximately 3 weeks. We were at a point where we weren't sure if all of the merchandise on our sales floor would have to go directly to a landfill as opposed to being used by consumers.
According to the Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act, retailers and resellers alike are prohibited from selling clothing that contains more than 600 parts per million of lead. Lead has been linked to learning disabilities in children. Unsure of what clothing meets these standards and what doesn't, many resellers were forced to stop accepting donations and trade-ins.
We had to stop taking in merchandise. Folks were coming in looking to provide for their children, and we were unable to accommodate their needs.
Despite the good intentions of this law, it's clear that along with thrift stores and resellers, parents have the most to lose. Stacy James is a mother of two, and she says she depends on stores like Other Mothers to clothe her kids.
And I can go to one of the places where they resell clothes and get a whole bag full of clothes for $50, whereas if I go to somewhere new like Old Navy, I get, a 2 pair of pants and a sweater.
And while James says she's worried about the safety of her kids' clothing, she has to balance this with financial concerns.
I mean, there should be precautions and things like that, but, we still have to put clothes and coats on our kids when winter comes. And if we can't afford it, what are we going to do?
I'm Charles Davis, reporting.
A new bill could give thousands of children in New Mexico access to health and dental care for the first time ever. The Senate Children's Health Insurance Program, also called CHIP, was written by a senator from New Mexico. New Mexico's Senator Birmingham helped draft the State Children's Health Insurance Program, also known as CHIP, which was reenacted yesterday. This law gives almost $32.5 billion to low-income New Mexicans over the next 4.5 years. The bill was crafted in 1997 and covered children and others who did not qualify for Medicaid, but whose families cannot afford health insurance. According to Senator Birmingham's website, New Mexico has one of the highest uninsured rates in the country. It has been one of his main goals in Congress to find ways to address that very serious problem.
Is vital to us because we have a lot of people who are uninsured in our state, and obviously their children are also uninsured.
The CHIP program covers a broad range of medical services, but needed to be redrafted for several reasons. The most important among them is the inclusion of dental care. This is crucial to a child's well-being.
We also have provision in here to cover the cost of dental care for children, which is very important in our state. Again, a lot of kids don't get the dental care that they require at an early age, and this helps to solve that problem as well.
The senator has stated that children suffer needlessly in pain and in some cases have even died from a lack of access to dental care. Dr. Pappas, the pediatric dentist at a local low-income dental office, explains how improper dental care can lead to many serious side effects.
We've known for quite some time now, studies have been done that children with rampant decay also have a failure to thrive. So they don't grow normally because they're not eating well. There's the pain of chewing because of the infection that is around those teeth and also enters their bloodstream and makes them less than optimally well.
Wow. In fact, Dr. Pappas says many of his colleagues agree dental care carries the most prevalent disease among children, more than earaches and colds. Another change in the reenacted version of the CHIP bill includes the fourth largest percentage increase of any state due to the severity of need.
It's important to us in New Mexico because this particular version of the bill will increase the amount we receive of this funding by nearly 300%.
And finally, Senator Birmingham adds that tens of thousands of Americans were being denied access to the health care which they're entitled to because it was too hard for them to prove their citizenship. He says this is, quote, totally unfair and needs to be fixed right away. This legislation now creates a system by which states can verify Social Security numbers to confirm citizenship. The passage of the CHIP bill into law is a big step towards keeping children and other adults healthy for years to come. For more information on how to apply for this program, you can contact your local Income Support Division.
Distinguished theologian Dr. David Maldonado has spent much of his life studying the correlation between religion and aging. Julianne LaJeunesse sat down with him to discuss exactly why he thinks more and more Hispanics are parting with Catholicism.
Dr. David Maldonado and his wife Charlotte came to Charlotte's hometown of Albuquerque 2 months ago. Just months before that, the couple was living in Minnesota, and before that, Maldonado was traveling and teaching. The semi-retired theology professor has a master's in gerontology, or the study of aging, and has spent many years studying aging from an ethnic perspective.
Okay, yeah, this is a very difficult area for older adults. As they realize that their family is not there, their children live in Denver, that means that their local church becomes even more important to them. Their friends, their amigas, their comadres become much more important, and they become their new sisters or brothers.
Maldonado says ultimately, religion, society, and its place of practice become inseparable.
Religion is part of culture. Religion, faith, religious tradition, religious community, religious practices shape culture, and vice versa. For example, a Hispanic or Latino in a traditional context, let's say it's very Catholic, well, the church was at the plaza for a reason. It was centered to the life of that community.
The theologian says, however, that life experiences shape people more than anything else.
And then life experiences. Life experiences mean something. You have learned from that, and you've grown with that. And so it's not like we're born with something and we're stuck with that and in at the same place.
For Campus Report, I'm Julianne LaJeunesse.
The Lobo baseball team is trying to do something it hasn't done for decades. The men's basketball team is jockeying for another NCAA tournament appearance. And who will be the Lobo starting quarterback this season? Devon Armijo is here with all of these stories in sports.
The Lobo men have never won a Mountain West regular season crown, but this could be the year for the Cherry and Silver. Their recent 26-point decimation of the San Diego State Aztecs has them deadlocked in a three-way tie for second place. The team ahead of them, Utah's coming right here to the pit. And in the audience for that Aztec annihilation was new Lobo head football coach Mike Locksley. Locke sat among the students during that game, and he might have been looking for another signal caller after last year's Lobo quarterback carousel. This year's senior Lobo quarterback Donovan Reportery will return after tearing his ACL and MCL last year in Tulsa. The Lobos could also turn to the man that replaced him last year, sophomore Brad Gruner. At this point, even Tate Smith, B.J. Holbrook, Emmanuel Yeager, and the kitchen sinker options. Offensive coordinator Darrell Dickey may have tipped the Lobos' paw when he explained how intricate the position really is.
I think as a guy's younger and newer in this offense, more of that, us giving him the play, that'll be more on us. As he's older and develops and understands what we're looking for, there will be a little more room for freedom for him, because he's basically on the same page as we are from a thought process standpoint.
So let me try to sift through some of Dickey's rhetoric and maybe my own language here for you. We have to start Donovan Portery if UNM wants to win any games next year. He threw for over 3,000 yards 2 years ago, and he had two 1,000-yard receivers and a 1,000-yard rusher. How many teams in Division I football actually did that? 2, New Mexico and the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Think about the options you have. Brad Gruner, who sent you on a 4-game slide. Brad Gruner, who had 3 interceptions to 6 touchdowns. Brad Gruner, who can't throw the ball more than 10 feet most of the time. It's pretty obvious who you've got to go with. And don't give me that young gun garb. Emmanuel Yeager, Tate Smith, and all the others can't start yet. This offense is simply too intricate. And you know what? I asked Lobo head coach Mike Loxley if I could be the man under center next year. He told me I should probably act as the kicking tee instead. Well, and after that shot to my ego, I really know what Jay Cutler is feeling like lately when nobody wants you to throw the ball. And finally, it's been 47 years since the Lobo baseball team last made it to the NCAA regionals. But Lobo baseball coach Ray Birmingham and his team say that 2009, well, it's starting to look a lot like 1962. It shouldn't take more than a quick glance around Lobo Field before you realize something's missing. There's no championship banners, and that's because the stadium was built in 1965, 3 years after the Lobos' last trip to the NCAA regionals. However, the Lobos and second-year coach Ray Birmingham are poised to make it to the next level. But why have confidence in a team that hasn't been among the elite in 47 years? On a gusty day, Birmingham says the winds of change are blowing in the Lobos' favor.
That's a long time. There have been a lot of presidents, a lot of things happened since then. So they got a chance to make history. And that one moment in time that you'll always remember the rest of your life is when you make history. The Lobos are going to make history.
The Lobos can also build off of their strong 2008 campaign. Last year in Birmingham's first season, the team was only 1 game short of a trip to regionals. Lobo outfielder Max Willett credits the team's recent success to the coach. Willett says that it's a whole different environment in the locker room since the vice president of athletics, Paul Krebs, made the coaching switch in the summer of 2007.
It's a complete 180, it feels like, from with the coaching staff that we had. Now it's a different mentality, a different mindset. A lot more feels like it's expected of us, and it's just more fun. It almost seems like it makes the game more enjoyable.
And it's not just Willett that feels that way. Left-handed pitcher Kenny Tovez was recruited by Birmingham. Twice. The Southpaw first joined the ranks of the coach's old school, New Mexico Junior College, before coming up to Albuquerque to play for New Mexico. Tovez explains that Birmingham's reputation for winning attracted him to both New Mexico schools.
In high school, I lived an hour away from Hobbs, and I heard a lot of stories about Coach Birmingham and his style of coaching, and they won a national title, so it kind of brings your attention to him. And he's just a great coach. I mean, all the guys, we respect him, and he's just a great guy.
The Lobos are far from a perfect team right now. Last year, their bats were on fire, but their pitching fizzled in important situations. Birmingham says their team can hit with the best of them, but they must improve their pitching in key situations. For Tovez, pitching is obviously a point of pride, and he says it could be the Lobos' golden ticket to winning the conference and going back to the NCAA regionals.
We can definitely hit, but I think we can really pitch too. And I think we're going to show our fans and this conference that Lobos, we can pitch as well as we can hit.
And just in case you're wondering, the Lobos are off to an excellent start this season. The Cherry and Silver haven't lost a season series yet.
Thanks, Devin. Woo, Delga, 47 years. That's a long time to go without winning at that level. I hope the Levels can get it done this year, Katie.
Absolutely, and if they do, let's hope there's not another 47-year drought. For Elisha Crow, I'm Katie Johnson. Thanks for watching.